I'm so excited to chat with you, Charles, because this has been an epic season, if there's any other word to describe it, of Outlander. And we've just gotten to the very significant scene of William finding out that he's actually Jamie's son. Is he more upset with his father for lying to him, or is it that he's sort of actually a commoner in this military family?
I think it's a collection of things. I think it's both of those things working together. It's the idea that his entire identity, he thought he was the ninth Earl of Ellesmere, the true heir of, the eighth Earl. And he thought that that was his title, his birthright. And to find out that that was not true, and his entire upbringing, all the morals and the kind of English code and ideas surrounding the monarchy, all that stuff ended up being a lie and not actually intrinsically part of his identity. That's a massive pill to swallow. And the thing that makes it truly, truly sting is that Lord John Grey, the person who raised him, the person who has always been there for him, and he's the person he's confided in his entire life, was the person that orchestrated this lie. So I think it's those two things fighting each other, and it's going to take a lot for William to get over it.
I mean, Jamie had kept himself distance so that he wouldn't find out. And he was just under the impression that this was like his dad's best mate and sort of was wondering at the same time, like, how can you marry your dad's best friend's wife?
Yeah,
And
I'm
he
thinking in
goes,
that entire scene, he must be thinking, how in the world do you owe Jamie Fraser this much? Am I his son? Like, what's happening?
and
It
then,
all makes sense. Yeah.
and then he either, if only William could read the script, and like 5 minutes later he writes that, like Jane, the word Claire's in bed, and she finds out like how he got this debt to
Yeah,
Jamie.
my goodness, yeah. If only he could read the script.
But I love that scene where Sam is just staring at you and, he's proud of who he is, but he's also revealing to you this is actually who you are. You have this other name. You have this hidden identity that you never knew about it. And he seems mad at Jamie though as well, even though they're not as close as you would expect, like maybe as an uncle sort of to him would be.
Yeah, I think his hatred for Jamie in that moment is represented, and it represents his own self-hatred in that moment as well, because William doesn't want to be the son of a Scottish criminal in his own words, right? He doesn't want to be a bastard child. He wants to be who he always thought he was. And learning that his entire identity is based on a lie, he hates himself because he has grown to like who he is and take pride in who he is as the ninth Earl. So deconstructing that and seeing the man right in front of him that represents everything he doesn't want to be is it's so hard for him. And I think his hatred for Jamie is just it's kind of his manifested hate for himself. And yeah, I think there's going to be a long journey for William to finally be able to love himself, because then that's when he'll stop hurting the people around him. And I think a lot of this episode was William hurting the people around him because of how much he was hurting. And a lot of the things he did in this episode were inexcusable. They were irredeemable. And he's going to have to do a lot to make up for that.
Well, speaking of that, he's sort of, I would say, heartbroken at the same time because Rachel has chosen
Yeah.
Ian when he seems to have, when William seems to have had his heart set on her. That's what it felt like as well, the implications as well. So, is the scene where you're finding out who your father is harder for you to have filmed, or was it seeing Ian come back into Rachel's life?
And it's just a whole nother level there, because I think once William discovered that his identity is not what he thought it was, maybe he's latching on to that last little bit of his identity, which was his love for Rachel. He's clinging on to that thing that, he has still. And to find out that that love wasn't necessarily reciprocated, and he wasn't who he thought he was in Rachel's eyes. And then to make matters worse, it's his cousin Ian that is the true love of Rachel, who also represents Jamie Fraser because that's his blood relative, that's his kin. So, you know, in his head, Jamie Fraser took away something else from him in the form of Ian. So it's another reason to hate the dad. And yeah, it's just it's going to take a lot for William to get over that.
I mean, we can only suspect him going down the bottle. It's like the only way. Like, how did he has this one friend in the army who's recovering, who's at the same time dealing with his own romantic issues with his family as well. So it seems to be piled, going towards the end of this season. It's all piled on William's shoulders at once, and certainly lashing out is his only form of therapy at this point. And he's broken his heart on so many levels, romantically and now his familial lines. He doesn't really seem to have anyone now in his corner that he can talk to about this.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone. There's no trust. And I think that's why later in the episode he is so attached to Jane because he has some kind of strange common ground with her, some familiarity. And that he can finally talk to someone and confide in someone. And he feels quite quickly that he can trust her because she herself is in a situation that she doesn't want to be in. And I think they bond over that, even though they're very, very different people and they're in very different predicaments. You know, William comes from extreme wealth, and Arabella slash Jane does not at all. So yeah, I think there's a lot going on there.
Must mean so much to you to be a part of this fandom. People are so just astounded by the work that all of you put into this series. What has it meant to you to be a part of Outlander?
Oh, it's been an absolute journey. It's been the like major thing that has marked the last 3 years of my life, and I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity. I've loved going to Scotland. You know, full disclosure, I was a bit homesick when I first got there for a couple months, but then I built a community and I met the amazing cast that we have there, and I met some people in Glasgow, and I felt like I developed a family there, and now I can kind of almost call it like a second home. It's a place that you know, I want to go back there, and I miss it now that I'm home. The grass is always greener, right? When I was there, I missed home, and now when I'm here, I miss Scotland. It's a lovely, lovely cast and crew that we have there, and it does feel like a family. And I can't imagine. I've only been there for 3 years. I can't imagine what it would be like for Katrina or for Sam, who have
Right?
done this for a decade now. What it would be like to finish. It must be a relief, but also at the same time, it's you know, it's the end of the big chapter in all of our lives.
Well, I'm curious, did you keep any mementos from your time working on this? Maybe you got a uniform in your closet somewhere?
I may or may not have. I don't want to say I stole it. Okay, I had a sword. They gave me this plastic sword it's an exact replica of my real sword that I use in the show, and they let me take it home so I could practice my swordsmanship. And you know, they never asked for it back, so I it's still at my house, and I'm probably not going to give it back because the show's over now. So you know, I think they just gave it to me. I'm gonna say that. It's so cool. I'm gonna put it. I actually, it's still in Scotland. It's with a friend because it was in my flat in Scotland when I was living there. So when I get it finally to Canada, I'm gonna put it on my wall. It's gonna look great. As far as other things, I don't really know what else I have with me. I have the memories. That's all I need.
The friendship, certainly.
Exactly, exactly.
I mean, do you and Lord John are still texting each other? And you and Sam are just like, this week is going to be a big one for the two of us. Get ready for the influx of fandom.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, we still keep in touch, which is nice. We still have our old group chats and things like that. One of the things that Richard Rankin, and Jamie Roy, who plays my grandfather in the spin-off series Blood of My Blood, and John Bell as well. We all started playing Magic the Gathering, which is a lovely card game. So we started playing Commander, which is a format of Magic, and we still have our group chats. We share each other Magic memes between each other on Instagram. So yeah, we still have that going, and I think that'll go on for the foreseeable future. So we all keep in touch.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the wonderful work you continue to do on your series? I think one of my most liked tweets is from an interview I did with you on a series like years ago, but because they're Outlander fans,
Oh, right.
still like finding it and just going like, okay,
That's so
saving it and
funny.
saving it.
That's so. Do you remember what that was? What show
I
that
would
was?
have to look it up.
Oh, that's so funny. I mean, yeah, to tell them, I hope they all know that, they're the reason that we do this, and they're the reason that we have the jobs that we have, and we get the opportunities that we get. I'm eternally grateful for these fans, and it's been overwhelmingly positive, the experience of meeting fans and interacting with people that like the show. And it's definitely, yeah, it's made me very happy and cozy, and my heart is full.